Reason number 46 to get a Nissan. Features, especially the ones you get with the 2025 Nissan Kicks Play. Integrated Apple CarPlay, a spacious interior, advanced safety features, and more room in your budget. Because it's the most affordable new vehicle in Quebec. Get the 2025 Nissan Kicks Play S from only $22,774, including a $2,600 cash purchase bonus. Visit your Nissan dealer today. Until March 2nd, conditions apply. Details at Nissan.
Now, in the last year, we have seen an increase in gun violence throughout the city of Montreal. And those who have found themselves to be the targets of such violence have oftentimes been rappers. With 6 rappers being murdered in Montreal in just over the last year. This calls to question what we are seeing in the industry and whether musical divides might be contributing to this. Erik Leijon joins us on the line. He's been covering the Montreal music scene forever. He's now the content lead at Complex Canada. Erik, welcome back to the show.
Hey, Elias. It's been too long.
It has been too long, and we have a very serious topic to discuss here. You know, I mean, now we're up to 6. It was last week. There was a shooting outside of the Bell Center, and as we find out, it's the victim is a rapper of 21 years old, a 21-year-old Montreal rapper. So, Erik, listen, you are at these shows. You are in the music scene in this city. When did you start to say, look, something is up here?
I think last year when a fairly high-profile rapper, Jean Lou, was shot and killed, and that one really shook the scene. He had a lot of friends in the scene, and he had he had a big hit that had sort of gotten really big on French TikTok with millions of plays, and it seemed like his career was on a real upward trajectory, and he was gunned down, and that was probably the big moment where. People were obviously extremely concerned about what was going on.
6 murders in just over the last year, same industry. Are there any connections here, Erik, between these, or is this 6 cases and they are seemingly random?
I mean, this happens, all over the place, where there are rappers. Unfortunately, in Los Angeles, just recently, P&B Rock, a very high-profile American rapper, was killed as well in an incident, and part of the allure of rap and hip hop is obviously they speak about street life, but a lot of these come from experience. The fact that they're rappers doesn't necessarily change the circumstances from which they come from and what they write about, and part of that is why people love rap music so much. But at the same time, it's their reality, and they do come from places where they don't have the same opportunities we do, and they do fall into gang violence and gang affiliations at a young age, and there's and really that's really the thing. We need to make sort of changes in society, and we need to give these young men more of an opportunity to not fall into that path.
So would you say like the primary connection here is the gang element of this and not necessarily the music or the rap world?
Yeah, I think the music is often the way out. That's sort of the way that, by having a music career is a chance to get out of, sort of that street life. And we've seen it countless times in the United States where, somebody, has a couple of hits and suddenly, they have record labels and support that can sort of, help them, sort of get out of that life and have a music career. In Canada, we simply don't have that infrastructure. We don't really have very many record labels that cater to rap music. As you know, there's no rap music on the radio. So, you can have a situation with a Jean Lou who has a hit and he's, big on Spotify, but he doesn't have the means and the financial means to be able to really pursue rap music full time. And unfortunately, that means that you're not necessarily able to escape that street life.
We're with Erik Leijon, content lead for Complex Canada, and we're talking about just over the last year in Montreal, how 6 rappers have been murdered in that time span. So, Erik, off the top, you brought up TikTok and how this is now a way, right, for young rappers, up and coming rappers, to share their music and become viral and then popular, and then hopefully lead to a big career in music. But I wonder, is there a bit of that element? And in the rap world, there's the quote unquote beefs, and I know we've talked about the gang connections here. But is that adding to this at all? That it is so easy to have a public spat with, let's say, whether it's gang members or fellow rappers on social media?
I think, it is possible. I know that in sort of, I mentioned before the P&B Rock death in Los Angeles, and there was a lot of speculation earlier, when he was shot that, his location had been given away in an Instagram post. Because, when you go to like a restaurant or something, you can post where you are. Yes, it does. Having social media does make you more, it's like this, it's such an essential part of having a music career nowadays. But at the same time, yes, it can absolutely put you in a position of potential danger. We had a rapper 2 years ago in Quebec who used a real gun in his video. And the SPVM, saw the video and went after him, and he was on the run for a little bit. VT was the rapper's name. The video was La Cause. And so, yeah, being very present on the internet is how you build a career, but it also absolutely, people can see the things that you own, people can see the places that you frequent, and it can put you in potential danger.
What's the reaction from Montreal's music community to yet another story like the one we saw last week near the Bell Center?
Like right away, his Instagram, the last post on his Instagram, which I think had been taken about a month prior to, all of his colleagues, so many rappers in the community, fans flooded the comments with, wishing condolences and paying tribute to him. And, it's part, it's part of life when you grow up in poverty and these things do happen. And, whether you're a rapper or not, unfortunately, in society. And, I hate to say that, there are lots of people in Montreal who grow up with this reality. And, it's obviously, it's incredibly sad. These are young men in their 20s, who've been, gunned down with so full of potential, and they have friends and family, and yeah, I just hate to say that it is unfortunately like a part of life for so many Montrealers, and it's something that we need to change as a society.
And have there been any calls from within the music community in this city? Because listen, what you're saying about poverty and gangs, this is all very true and valid. But is there an opening here for maybe the Montreal music community to take a bigger role in making sure that this doesn't happen?
I find that there's just not a lot of infrastructure for rappers and rap music in this city. I feel like we do have labels that do francophone rap, but a lot of it is predominantly white rappers, and we don't give out grants really to independent black rappers in this province unless they have like a big following. But how can you build a big following if you can't get those grants to help build your career? So it's just like these constant battles that these young rappers have to face to get respect, to get shows. It's hard to book a show. If the SPVM is knows that you're on a gang list or follows you, can you put on a show? The SPVM has absolutely in the past told rappers, like, you cannot book a show because you are potentially gang affiliated and something might happen at the show. So if you attempt to put on a show, we'll stop it.
It's like, how do you, Erik, it's so interesting because how do you solve that problem? Because if something were to happen, the SPVM would hear it that they didn't do their job by stopping the how do you solve that? It's so complex. Erik, we have to leave it there. I want to thank you for coming on.
Thank you so much for having me live.
Erik Leijon, you can read his words in Complex Canada. He's the content lead for Complex Canada.